Everyone in the music world knew Ethan, the genius, loved his wife more than life itself. Yet, on the surface, he was a notorious playboy, unchecked. He'd been with countless women, but none were ever allowed to cross the line or cause me trouble. This time, however, for a young female bassist, he broke every rule. He tolerated her mocking my disability, even letting her casually ask him about our intimate life. Ethan exhaled a ring of smoke, the corner of his lips curling into a cold, sarcastic smile. Serena sleeps too much. She's lost all feeling now. Lee chuckled, tucking a rose into her cleavage, her eyes full of unspoken suggestion as she gazed at him. He leaned down, taking the rose in his mouth, his face almost buried in the fiery red petals. Everyone expected me to go ballistic, to scream in furious anger, but I didn't. I was here for one thing only, a divorce. The moment the studio door swung open, a wave of pungent cigarette smoke and alcohol fumes hit me. I despised smoke. My throat burned and my eyes stung, watering. My gaze swept across the messy room. The raucous laughter and chatter abruptly ceased. Ethan was still holding the rose in his mouth, with Lee perched on his lap. The air was thick with tension, like a violin string about to snap. My voice was soft, yet laced with a chilling distance. It seems I've come at a bad time. As if jolted awake from a dream, everyone in the room stirred. Ethan immediately pushed Lee off him, tilted his head to spit out the rose, and frantically switched on the ventilation system. His voice was hoarse, his fingers nervously fidgeting. Before he could utter a word, Lee stumbled forward, slurring, "Sister-in-law, so this is what Ethan's wife looks like." But there was no hint of drunkenness in her eyes. Her crimson lips parted slightly, then closed without a sound, mouthing two words, "How bland." I frowned, about to step back, but she gripped my wrist tightly. "Sister-in-law, I heard your eye is fake. Can I see it?" I yanked my hand away, my voice icy. "Are you blind?" At my words, tears welled up instantly in Lee's glistening eyes. She trembled, looking back at Ethan with utter helplessness. Ethan silently stepped behind her, his gaze dark and profound as he looked at me. "What's there to be ashamed of? Just take it out and show her. It's not like you'll lose a piece of flesh." I froze, stunned as if struck by lightning. Had he forgotten? Forgotten that he was the reason I lost my right eye, ending my dream of becoming an archer? This prosthetic eye was the first gift he'd ever given me. I cherished it so much that even after becoming a prosthetic designer myself, I always repaired and maintained it, never having the heart to replace it. I understood. This was just his way of testing my limits, but I refused to endure any longer. "Ethan," I said coldly, "then you should take out your hearing aid and show it to them too." The room immediately erupted in whispers. Ethan's face hardened, his eyes warning me, "Don't speak carelessly." "Sister-in-law is so petty," Lee giggled weakly, but a cunning glint flickered in her eyes. "If you don't want to show me, fine, but why are you slandering Ethan?" She quietly looked up at him, her voice sickeningly sweet. "He's a musical genius. Everyone bows down and begs him, only you don't appreciate him." Ethan's eyes turned glacial. "It seems I've spoiled you too much, making you forget your place." Before I could even retort, he grabbed my hair, two fingers digging into my eye socket. "Ethan!" I cried out in panic, trying to stop him, but it was too late. My old prosthetic eye lay snugly in his hand. He handed it to Lee, his voice casual. "Here, play with it." Lee flinched, startled, as she looked at my empty eye socket. She whispered something like, "That's really bad," then tremblingly reached out to take it, but she dropped it. "No!" I lunged instinctively, but I was a step too slow. The prosthetic eye fell straight into a glass of wine. It was unusable. I stared blankly at what had once been a part of me, hearing only Lee's sniffling cries. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." She clung to Ethan's arm, her eyes shimmering with tears. Ethan knew he'd crossed a line, yet he brazenly relied on my love for him. "It's just a prosthetic eye. You still have the other one. As long as you're not completely blind, it's fine." I clenched my fists, my eyes red with hatred as I glared at him. "Fine, let it be broken," I scoffed, a bitter smile on my lips. I didn't want to keep it much longer anyway, just like I don't want to keep you. I pulled the divorce papers from my bag, flung them onto the table in front of him, and turned to leave. He thought he'd hidden Lee well, but I'd known for a long time. Divorce wasn't a sudden decision, it was something I'd contemplated for a very long time. Ethan panicked, chasing after me, dragging Lee along. "Serena," he roared, his voice seething with anger. "Who gave you permission to mention divorce?" I was already a few paces past a bridge pillar, watching him from afar, hunched over and panting under the streetlight, his face distorted with rage. He pulled out his phone, frantically dialing my number. I let it ring, then hung up. I heard him shout, "Serena, get out here now." Lee caught up, hastily trying to reason with him. "Ethan, perhaps sister-in-law has already driven off." His expression grew even uglier. "She's so unreasonable, daring to use divorce to threaten me." Lee's eyes welled up with tears as she tenderly cupped his face, her voice soft as silk. "It's all my fault, Ethan. I was too greedy. Don't blame yourself. You're so talented, no one could ever blame you. Sister-in-law is just mad at me. Once you've finished your new song, I'll leave." She stood on tiptoe, lightly kissing the corner of his lips, her tears silently falling onto his palm. The song he wrote for me all those years ago, now he was singing it to someone else. I had loved him for too long, so long that he'd forgot he once promised to write love songs only for me. The night wind was too cold. I just wanted to go home. Watching them kiss passionately, I pulled out my phone and changed my flight to an earlier time. Ethan returned home late the next morning. I was still meticulously finishing my last orders. He approached silently, wrapping his arms around me from behind. "Serena, I knew you couldn't bear to leave me. Lee is just a bandmate, we only have musical chemistry. I've just written a new song for you. Do you want to hear it?" The familiar melody filled the air, the very song he'd sung to Lee last night. I stopped writing, my voice chillingly nonchalant. "It's noisy." His smile froze, an irrational flash of anger sparked in his eyes. "I've already explained. Why do you always have to make such a big deal out of things? Have I spoiled you too much?" The scent of alcohol and cigarette smoke still clung to him, making me cough uncontrollably. In my memory, no matter how broken he was, he had never touched alcohol or cigarettes. But ever since Lee, he had constantly broken the boundaries he once set for himself. A flicker of panic crossed Ethan's face. He quickly patted my back to help me breathe easier. "Here, drink some water, Serena. I'll go shower right away." He sprang up, nervously rubbing his fingertips, then popped a mint into his mouth. At home, whenever his cigarette cravings hit, he always tried to suppress them, just because he feared I would be bothered by the smell of smoke. After showering out of habit, he came looking for me, wanting me to dry his hair. "Serena." His phone suddenly buzzed with a message. He glanced at it unconsciously, but I quickly flipped the screen over. It was a flight schedule notification. "Why won't you let me see it?" Ethan's face darkened. "You have someone else, don't you? Is this your way of getting back at me? Don't you feel disgusted?" I frowned, my voice weary. "It's just a junk message from a travel app." His malicious accusation faltered, a hint of awkwardness creeping in. He clumsily changed the subject. "Since we're talking about travel, how about I take you to Iceland? It is white snow and dazzling aurora borealis. I'll take care of everything." When we first fell in love, we planned to go to Iceland together. But when he became famous, his packed schedule swept him away, and that promise was forever put on hold. Now he was describing Iceland in flowery words, as if trying to sway me. "No need." I looked directly into his eyes. "Didn't you already go with Lee?" Recently, I had subtly reminded him of the trip, but he always refused, citing work. Yet he had time to lean against Lee in the long night and even meticulously sculpted her a heart-shaped snow globe. Ethan's face turned pale, his hand gripping the edge of the table before he suddenly pushed it and stood up. "You're stalking me? Serena, can you please stop thinking such nonsense? Don't you get tired of always being suspicious?" I quietly gathered my things on the table, my voice still calm. "I'm not suspicious at all. I know you went for work." My composure completely flustered him. He stepped forward, wanting to grab me, but I had already blocked the door. Unable to do anything more, he quickly went to Lee for comfort. But at a music festival, an accident occurred. His nano hearing aid fell out and was trampled. He abandoned the performance, never showing up. My flight was the next afternoon. When Ethan frantically opened the door and walked in, I was carefully packing my luggage. "Serena," he hugged me tightly, his heartbeat chaotic. "My hearing aid is broken. I can't hear anything anymore, Serena. I'm so scared." Hot tears fell onto my neck, his shoulders trembling uncontrollably. In the past, whenever he came to me so vulnerable, I couldn't help myself. I would rush to comfort him, frantically looking for a way to fix his hearing aid. But this time, I gently pushed him away. "I've been very tired lately." He could still hear a little in his right ear, but his panic had made him lose his composure. He looked around the room, seeing me packing, and the unease in his eyes deepened. "Where are you going?" Ethan gripped my wrist tightly. "Just when I need you most, you want to leave? Serena, you're truly heartless. Didn't you love me the most? Can you even live without me?" Lee's marks were still clearly visible on his chest. His breath no longer belonged solely to me. I knew if I revealed my intention to leave now, I certainly wouldn't be able to escape, because Ethan was the kind of person who could do anything crazy. "It's just too much work pressure. I just want to clean up to feel more comfortable," I said, my voice calm and utterly exhausted. Before, no matter how busy I was, I had never stopped working just because I was tired. But Ethan was not lucid enough to realize that now. His eyes remained locked on me. "Your eye is damaged. Who else would need you besides me?" "Ethan," I let go of his hand, replying indifferently, "I don't care about you and Lee, because I know you love me." My words visibly relieved him. He hastily reassured me that Lee was just a fleeting distraction, that no one could replace me. One person thought everything had returned to normal. The other was secretly planning her departure. A 10-year love, shattered beyond recognition. Ethan said he would cook me a nourishing soup and went into the kitchen himself. But deep into the night, no bowl of soup appeared. "Ah!" A piercing sound startled me, and I immediately rushed out of the room. Ethan was nowhere to be seen, but the stove was still on. Just then, the pressure cooker let out a violent boom and exploded. The force of the blast threw me to the ground, searing pain spreading across my body, a sharp agony piercing every nerve. "Ah!" Trembling, I pulled out my phone from beneath me. I could only call for emergency services, and in my emergency contacts, the only person I could reach was Ethan. I called him over a dozen times, all rejected. It wasn't until the pain nearly rendered me unconscious that he finally answered. Lee was harassed at the bar. "Can't you tell which matters are more important? Stop acting like a child. If there's something to say it quickly." After his curt words, he hung up. That entire night, he spent comforting Lee. I was taken to the hospital by a neighbor. All night, he didn't call even once. Until the next morning, as I was in a car heading to the airport, his car sped past me from the opposite direction. "I found a company that can make a nano hearing aid for you. Now you can rest assured, Serena." In the surveillance camera, his voice suddenly stopped. The room was empty, all my belongings were gone. He called me repeatedly, but all calls were rejected. Soon, work consumed him again. Colleagues in the studio incessantly urged him. "All right, I'll be back soon." His face darkened. He couldn't continue looking for me. He contacted the company, requesting them to expedite the order. But the company apologetically informed him, "We apologize, but the company's new designer won't arrive in Port City until this evening." Ethan unconsciously rubbed his fingertips, his heart heavy with an unsettling premonition. "Can I have the name and contact information? I'd like to discuss things beforehand." The next moment, the employee's voice rang out clearly. "Serena Tang, number 182X. Under the dim lights, Ethan's eyes filled with disbelief. He repeatedly confirmed with the employee, his mind constantly replaying my unusual behavior recently. "She's gone." His voice was hollow, his hands trembling as he dialed my number. "No, it can't be. Serena, how can you not need me?" "Serena, you loved me the most." As if possessed, he muttered incessantly, frantically sending me a barrage of messages. I turned off the surveillance camera, disconnected from everything, ignoring his panic. After everything was ready, I quietly sat in the lounge, waiting for my flight to take off. Suddenly, the loudspeaker announced, "Madam, whose ID number ends in 3242, please proceed to the information counter immediately." I instinctively stood up, but before walking away, I carefully checked my luggage to make sure I hadn't forgot anything. From a distance, I saw a man standing in front of the information counter, his demeanor frantic and rushed, as if on fire. The loudspeaker repeated again, "Madam, whose ID number ends in 3242, please proceed to the information counter immediately." I slowly sat back down. Just as I had predicted, the person looking for me was Ethan. But I no longer wanted to see him. The signed divorce agreement, I had left it on the coffee table. As the boarding began, I pulled my suitcase, step by step, walking away. "Ma'am, please open your suitcase for inspection." Inside my luggage, some unfinished prosthetic limbs were held back for inspection. It was no surprise. At that very moment, Ethan truly found me. "Serena!" He was blocked at the security checkpoint, his eyes bloodshot. "Come back to me right now." I quickly rearranged my luggage, giving him one last calm, deep look. "Ethan, don't forget to sign the divorce agreement." "I won't sign." He became extremely agitated, trying to barge inside. I'm not divorcing. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have been ambiguous with Lee. As long as you don't divorce me, you can have anything you want. He caused a commotion, forcing me to quickly walk away to avoid further chaos. Airport security guards' voices echoed behind me, warning and then restraining him to the ground. Don't leave me. The news of Ethan's disturbance at the airport immediately rocketed to the top of the trending topics. Musical genius suspected of infidelity, causes scene at airport, tries to beg wife back, fails. He had once cultivated the image of a devoted husband who always stood by his disabled wife. Now, his true colors were completely exposed to the public. Secrets from his past were dug up by netizens and spread everywhere. Did anyone know that Ethan's mother was once a mistress who broke up another family? He himself was an illegitimate child, and his wife, Serena, lost an eye, all because of him. A powerful wave of public opinion surged. Some even discovered that his father was the patriarch of the Teague family in Port City. But I couldn't be bothered with any of that news. After landing, I moved into a new apartment arranged by the company. Designer Tang, these are some company plans for your review. Please take your time to rest first, the CEO said. No need to rush into work. I skimmed through the documents and realized the company's philosophy aligned quite well with my design principles. It seemed this decision wasn't wrong. However, I didn't rest for too long, quickly diving into work and integrating with my colleagues. Today, when I arrived at the company, my usually lively assistant, Chloe, was suddenly quiet, her eyes red, tears streaming down her face. Chloe, what's wrong? I gently stroked her head, my voice tinged with worry. She burst into tears, throwing herself into my arms. Serena, I liked a singer, but his image just collapsed. His reputation is shattered, infidelity, divorce, videos with a third party spreading everywhere. And the irony is, it's my favorite song, a love song he once wrote for his wife. The more I heard, the colder my heart grew. I immediately guessed the person she was talking about was Ethan. Chloe, it's not worth crying over a scoundrel like that. I gently comforted her. Chloe sighed, her voice a little choked. I know, but I once loved him with all my heart. Now I just feel so foolish. Her words were exactly what I had once thought. Tears fell not for the betrayer, but for my own past foolishness. I had thought my life would no longer be connected to Ethan, but unexpectedly, I met him again in Port City. Under the faint yellow lights, Ethan, in a luxurious suit, approached. His appearance was as perfect as ever, completely unaffected by the storm of public opinion. Serena, his voice was deep and steady, laced with a hint of arrogance. Come back to me now, and I'll pretend nothing ever happened. His eyes held absolute confidence, as if he believed I would surely obey. Because while public opinion was still raging, the Teague family in Port City had officially recognized him. All adverse news suddenly disappeared. No one could post anything more. I subtly curled my lips, my tone mocking. The divorce agreement is signed. Do you think I'm still the old Serena, the one who would give up everything for you? My smile was cold. Even if you were an emperor, it couldn't work between us. Ethan's face turned pale. He hadn't expected me to be so resolute. I can compensate you for anything you want. He quickly blocked my path. I know I was wrong. Can't you give me one more chance? I burst out laughing, a sarcastic, bitter laugh. Don't put on that lovesick act in front of me anymore. It makes me nauseous. The atmosphere between us grew tense, but Ethan refused to let go. When I completed my new design, I received a request for a direct meeting from a partner. Thinking I could quickly close the deal, I went to a private room for discussion. Unexpectedly, the director there pressed me to drink. Designer Tang, finish this glass and I'll sign the contract immediately. I froze, about to stand up and leave, but my shoulder was held, forcing me to sit down. My colleagues hastily explained that I couldn't drink alcohol. Director Liu's face darkened, his tone arrogant. It seems you don't need this contract then. Without it, can your company even pay salaries? He wasn't wrong. The company was in difficulty, needing a contract to turn things around. Looking at the glass of wine in front of me, I gritted my teeth, about to pick it up when a low voice rang out. Director Liu, quite the show of authority. Ethan pushed open the door and entered, his eyes cold as he looked at Director Liu. If you beg me to sign a contract next time, I'll show this kind of authority too. I wasn't sure why he appeared, but I clearly saw Director Liu's expression immediately change, a fawning smile quickly spreading across his face. Designer Tang, why didn't you say earlier that you had connections with CEO Ethan? He turned to Ethan, smiling apologetically. If I had known she was yours, how would I dare to be disrespectful? Without hesitation, he signed the contract immediately. Ethan reached out and gently touched my wrist, his voice soft. Serena, I'll take you home, all right. You always hated the smell of alcohol and cigarettes, didn't you? His appearance, combined with the news spreading online, meant my colleagues all knew about our relationship. The most reactive person was Chloe. She blocked my path, her eyes blazing with anger. Let go of her, you scoundrel. Sister Serena has me to protect her. Don't bother her anymore. Ethan's eyes darkened, his voice dropping, full of danger. Who do you think you are? Get out of the way. He pushed Chloe away, pulling me outside. Behind us, her angry voice echoed. You despicable man, no wonder Sister Serena doesn't need you. Every word of hers was like a knife plunging into Ethan's heart. He clenched my hand tightly, his voice hoarse. Serena, do you think so too? In the cold night wind, I suddenly remembered that rainy night on the bridge years ago. I took a deep breath, then decisively pulled my hand away from his. Yes. In that moment, I clearly saw Ethan's eyes shattering under the dim streetlight. His eyes held helplessness, like a cornered animal with no escape. The entire way, both of us were silent, only the darkness and the distant hum of a car engine breaking the stillness. Serena, I won't give up. His voice was deep and resolute. I'll wait until the day you forgive me. Before I could speak, his phone rang. He answered immediately. On the other end, Lee's sobbing voice. Ethan, can you come pick me up? She was choking, her voice weak as if about to vanish into thin air. I don't want to live anymore. It turned out she had followed me to Port City. After landing at the airport, she had wandered aimlessly through the desolate suburbs like a lost ghost. Now she was lost. Ethan's voice was urgent and anxious. Are you crazy? Don't joke about your life. Stay right there, I'll be right there. I quickly glanced at her location on the map. It was completely opposite to my home. He hesitated for a moment, then turned to me, his eyes full of remorse. Serena, she has no one else. I can't abandon her this time. This time, I no longer felt heartache or self-pity. I just calmly opened the car door and stepped out. Ethan could never be tough with Lee. No matter how unreasonable she was, he always indulged her. He said he would call a cab for me, but I knew he would immediately forget. Under the desk lamp, I intently refined my design. Every line on the screen appeared as clear as the thoughts swirling in my mind. A soft knock on the door pulled me out of my thoughts. Sister Serena, are you home yet? It was Chloe. She stood outside the door, her voice a little hesitant. I stood up and opened the door, smiling gently. What's wrong, Chloe? She held out her phone to me, her eyes showing a hint of hesitation. The boss said he didn't investigate thoroughly this time, which caused you trouble, so he wants to give you a leave of absence. It turned out that when Chloe noticed something amiss with Director Liu, she immediately reported it to the boss. The boss rushed to the private room, but by then, Ethan had already taken me away, just a step too late. I looked at her, feeling a little warmer inside. I know, I'll discuss it with the boss later. Actually, I didn't intend to take a leave. I clearly understood the company's current situation. I had to work even harder. Not long after, a new product was launched, based on my design. The boss happily held a press conference to announce the product. Everything went smoothly until a reporter suddenly stood up, his tone full of mockery. Excuse me, but your company's product is being accused of design plagiarism. Aren't you afraid of divine retribution? I was momentarily stunned. This design was my creation. There was no way it could be plagiarized. However, the video evidence the reporter presented showed that the design had appeared 3 days before I completed it. How can this be? I mumbled to myself, filled with doubt. I had never revealed the design to anyone. The press conference suddenly turned chaotic. I quickly decided to call the police. The boss placed a hand on my shoulder, softly reassuring me. Calm down, we trust you. I closed my eyes, trying to recall every detail from the past period, and then a thought suddenly flashed in my mind. I know, when I left Cloud City, I left a faulty sketch in the old house. But that house is under Ethan's name, and I don't have the key. To find out the truth, I had to contact him. Ethan appeared amidst the crowd, easily passing through the security barrier and quickly approaching me. He looked at me anxiously. Serena, I heard what happened. I was worried you might be in trouble, so I came. Anything I can do to help, I'll try my best. I looked at him, not bothering with pleasantries. I need the key to the house in Cloud City. Ethan's face suddenly turned pale, his hand clenching. Do you want to retrieve the divorce agreement? He lowered his head, his voice strained. I already tore it up, Serena. There's no divorce agreement anymore. I frowned slightly, not wanting to waste time arguing, and explained the situation. After listening, he immediately nodded. All right, don't worry, I won't let anyone falsely accuse you. Just go to the airport and wait for me. I'll go back and get the key right away. I had a bad feeling and wanted to go with him, but he said, Serena, can you trust me? The key was in his hand. I had no other choice. However, I waited from afternoon until deep into the night, but there was no sign of him. I only received a cold message. Serena, don't go back to Cloud City. Anger flared within me. I immediately called him directly. Ethan, are you out of your mind? If this isn't resolved, the entire company will be implicated because of me. His voice carried a mix of helplessness and pleading. The person who took the design was Lee. Her musical dream hasn't come true yet. I can't let everything collapse for her. I let out a cold laugh. And what about my asterisk dream? He continued. Serena, I can bear all of your company's losses. I'll bring all your company's employees into the Teague group, all right? I didn't hesitate. No need. If you want to have it both ways, then divorce me. Let me be free. With that, I immediately hung up and boarded the flight back to Cloud City alone. Without sleeping all night, it only took me a day and a half to retrieve the footage from the house I didn't have a key to. I used a locksmith service. Before leaving, I replaced the lock and sent the key to Ethan, along with the divorce agreement. The evidence was complete. The company quickly handled the media, publicly announcing the truth. Public opinion immediately shifted, and Lee soon received a court summons. Ethan still didn't give up, persistently bringing flowers to stand outside the company building every day, a complete eyesore. Today, he even brought Lee with him. I found it amusing. Did he really think that if she cried, I would forgive her? Ethan looked at me, his voice carrying a hint of pleading. Serena, do you truly want to be so heartless? I calmly scoffed. Don't be so quick, you're next. I gently moved my finger, sending him the surveillance video. His face instantly turned ashen. After a few seconds of silence, the bouquet in his hand was thrown directly at Lee's face. The sharp thorns scratched her delicate skin, leaving countless marks. I nonchalantly turned and walked away, leaving Ethan's furious shouts behind me. Finally, I no longer had to care about them. Sometime later, while I was dining at a hot pot restaurant, a server brought out some premium dishes. I frowned. Excuse me, we didn't order these. Is there a mistake? The server politely replied, Madam, this is a gift from our owner. I gave a faint smile. Ethan always thought I liked hot pot, but in reality, I never did. I only ever liked asterisk him. I lightly tapped my finger on the keyboard, sending a final message. I like the divorce agreement. You signed it as a gift to me. He didn't reply for a long time. I placed my phone face down on the table and quietly began my meal. Just as I thought the divorce might be prolonged, a delivery person unexpectedly brought me the divorce agreement. You received it, didn't you? Ethan's voice was hoarse, filled with exhaustion. Do you like this gift? Without answering, I carefully examined the agreement. I realized that Ethan had given me a very large portion of his assets. Almost everything he could control within the Teague family had been transferred to me. Serena, could you say something to me? His voice was weak, laced with a hint of pleading. I want to hear your voice. I put the agreement away, gently replying, I like it very much. Ethan chuckled, but it was a dry, difficult laugh. As long as you like it, that's enough. He mumbled, his voice almost lost amidst the static of the connection. If only you can be happy because of me, just once I'm content. This time, Ethan no longer stubbornly insisted on my forgiveness. As we talked, I had a feeling he was leaving a will. Instinctively, I immediately cut off that thought. So, when will we finalize the divorce procedures? He was silent for a long time before finally speaking. 3 months from now. I frowned slightly, feeling this period was a bit too long. According to regulations, after filing, the mediation period only lasts 60 days. Serena, I don't mean to prolong it. It's just that I'm busy lately, not free, he quickly explained, seemingly guessing my thoughts, afraid I would misunderstand. Anyway, we've waited this long, a few more months won't hurt. I didn't ask what he was busy with, because I no longer cared. Whether it was due to a guilty conscience or a desire to compensate after the Lee incident, those things no longer mattered to me. As long as I achieved my goal, nothing else was worth paying attention to. Time flew by quickly, and soon it was the appointed day. I arrived at the Civil Affairs office very early, while he was late. Sorry I'm late, Ethan tried to force a smile. I won't lie to you, don't worry. He had lost a lot of weight, which surprised me a little. I hadn't expected him to become so gaunt, almost skin and bones, in such a short time. However, I didn't ask anything further. Let's go, let's get the procedures done. All my attention was focused on the divorce papers, completely oblivious to his shattered eyes. Serena, he softly called my name. I turned around and met his gaze as he struggled to compose himself, trying to force a smile. Congratulations, you finally got your freedom. My hand unconsciously tightened on the divorce papers, a complex emotion welling up inside me. I can't see you off now. Let me call you a cab. He took out his phone, his thin fingers touching the screen. It seemed he couldn't see clearly. He had to bring the phone closer. Only then did I realize he had come by taxi. He wasn't driving, nor was he chauffeured by the Teague family's private driver. No need. I can go by myself, I said, stopping him. Out of a sense of humanity, I hailed a taxi on the roadside, told the driver to take him back to the Teague family home, then turned and left. Just as the car door was about to close, I thought I heard a faint voice, "To the rehabilitation center." I stood frozen there, my mind blank. After a long moment, I pulled out my phone. When is Lee's verdict date? This time, I read the notice carefully and realized one of her charges was drug trafficking. After their falling out, Lee was unwilling to let go. She had secretly gotten him addicted to illicit substances, thinking that he wouldn't be able to leave her that way. But she never expected him to be so ruthless as to send her to prison while he himself entered a rehabilitation center. I hadn't even fully processed this when my boss called. "Serena, the product test report is ready." I immediately returned to the company, pushing through the crowd of colleagues to see the report. The entire office buzzed with chatter, everyone curious about who had been brave enough to be the test subject. When I turned to the tester's information page, the room fell into an eerie silence. Under name, 3 words clearly appeared: Ethan Teague. "He actively sought me out, wanting to be the tester," the boss said in a low voice, his lips pressed together. "The improved data in this report is all from his meticulous testing. I wanted to stop him, but he refused." With that intensity and frequency, no one could endure it. I clutched the report tightly in my hand. The image of Ethan's struggling, contorted face flashed in my mind. Were the injuries on his body all results of these tests? "Serena," the boss called my name, pulling me back to reality. "He said this is a divorce gift for you. He hopes you'll like it." The divorce papers in my pants pocket suddenly felt strangely hot. I didn't know how to react, only managing a mechanical twitch of my lips. Good for him. Ethan seemed to vanish from the face of the earth, never leaving the rehabilitation center. The next time I heard about him was when the Teague family's butler arranged to meet me. He said that Ethan had committed suicide. Perhaps he couldn't bear the torment of both body and mind and no longer wished to continue living. "Miss Tang," the butler coughed softly, pulling me from my thoughts. "The young master left all his assets to you." Also, he had originally written a letter, but before taking his own life, he tore it up, saying he didn't want his crazy words to affect you. No one knew what was written inside. Ethan once wanted me to visit his grave, but he was afraid I would refuse, so he didn't even leave an address. My chest felt hollow, only a sense of emptiness remaining. On the long street, the love song he once wrote echoed in my ears. "I wish I could kiss your brows, your eyes, and entwine with you in dreams for 10,000 years."